Hello, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns, and you're watching my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role-playing games with friends. This is part of an ongoing anthology series of tabletop role-playing games that I call Star Wars Saturdays because I usually run them on Saturdays and they're always somehow related to Star Wars. This is a real experiment, something interesting and different that I'm trying with Star Wars Saturdays. First of all, it's a bi-monthly game, meaning that it's October 2021 right now, and I'm going to be running this weekly for a couple of months. Normally, I run just once a month. Very excited. I wanted to get the long tail of this particular game. And then, as you might see from the background, or from the name on the YouTube video, or my Imperial picture on my shirt, this game is a reskin, very gentle, like it's 99% Last Fleet from Black Armada games, with a couple bits of the initial pitch changed. Yeah, thank you. Mine's on the way. I like had the PDF, and after reading through this thing and prep for the game, I'm like, yes, I must own this in physical copy. But it is Last Imperial Fleet. The concept for this game is taking Last Fleet. Last Fleet is this wonderful game from Josh Fox and Black Armada Games. Generally, it is Battlestar Galactica, the game, and the idea that you're playing the last fleet of humanity in Last Fleet that's taking off, and there are these weird aliens that are infiltrating and chasing and trying to destroy all of the people in the fleet. The tilt for Star Wars is that this is an Imperial fleet that, when Coruscant fell, and of course expanded universe, took a lot longer to fall after Palpatine died, but to the eyes of this Imperial fleet, Palpatine died, Death Star 2 was destroyed, Grand Moff Tarkin was also killed, sadly. Not really sadly, he was a total dick, but from Imperial eyes. So that went on, partying in the streets in Coruscant, and this fleet said, we got to get out of here. Deuces, we're out. The Empire's falling. We must survive to bring about a new order someday. Because if you've ever read any, don't worry if you haven't, but like in a lot of Star Wars history, there's a whole lot of cycling of like Sith Empire goes away, Sith Empire comes back, all that fun stuff. So totally logical that these remnants of the Empire would say, we're just going to escape and then we'll come back because new movies have to be made and stuff like that. Anyway, jokes aside, the idea is that this is a fleet using the engine of Last Fleet who are Imperials, and that's a fascist regime. That's a totalitarian galactic empire. And we are not playing this game seeking to celebrate that in any way, shape, or form. We are going to use that game and each other to explore it a bit, to question it, to see maybe glimpses of why people might hold to that idealism, or why people feel that it is all that there was. Because if you think about it, the Empire existed for 30-ish years. There were people in their young adult lives that this is all that they have known. There are people who are within this Empire who were part of the Republic before it fell. So I really think it's interesting and fascinating. We're going to play it as long as it's fun and it reaches the point, like fun, loose definition of fun. We're not going to be laughing and giggling as we play, probably. But we're going to play this for a couple months, or until the point where we all say, you know what, this is not enjoyable, and then we walk away. But I know that is a weird juxtaposition of things. That I said not with a giggle, with a giggle. That's how my brain works. Nevertheless, the plan is to explore this game, have fun with it, interrogate some assumptions within the Empire, tell the story of some really interesting characters. I've taken a look at the PCs that you all have created before we've developed relationships, which always enhances the game. And I'm very excited to see us play. So we do have safety tools. And the safety tools are, we have some lines and veils that have been marked on our character keeper ahead of time. To, like, lines are things we don't want to see in the game. Veils are things that we're okay if it happens, but we're not going to shine a spotlight on it. As soon as it occurs, we'll just agree, yep, this is a thing that happened. And we do a star wipe away, or we fade to black. And then ask first is a thing where if we broach on this particular subject, the request is with ask first that we as players, person to person, quickly step out of the game and say, hey, I think it might be interesting if we do X, and you broach that subject. You don't drop it into the fiction, right? You don't like push it in, because it's the thing we just want to deal a little delicately with some consideration. If any one of us at the point when something ask first has been tentatively introduced or discussed, any one of us say, you know what, can you try it a different way? Then we will. We got 5 beautiful brains here, and I guarantee we can come up with something that's not going to be a roadblock. Then on top of that, but the other safety tool that I like to employ is very blunt instrument called the X card. The X card is, if you didn't realize that this was going to be here, you didn't stick a line or a veil on it, or for whatever reason going on in your head, your life, whatever, this thing is causing you to absolutely have no fun. It's something that for whatever reason you're feeling like, okay, this isn't my Star Wars, or I'm not prepared to deal with this, whatever reasoning. If you feel you need ripcord to like hit the escape hatch, that's your X card. You can mention it. You can say, hey, I need the X card. In the reactions on Zoom, though nobody's used it, I love throwing out, you can actually do, I know, yay, it's cool. And that doesn't show up on the recording, so don't feel like you're calling yourself out. You can also drop it in chat. And if anybody drops the X card, what we're going to do is I'll pause the recording and we'll have just a brief conversation. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to tell me why you X carded it. I may ask in case I don't fully understand what was being X carded, or just confirm with you. Like, for example, I the whole like teeth. Someone has X carded teeth on me before. I threw out the idea of an economy of teeth in this weird post-apocalyptic fantasy kind of game, and they're like, yeah, please no anything but that. And we just chucked that out, went with fingernails, which I think is way grosser, but they were cool with it. And it allowed me to have a grandmother who sat at home growing her nails for her family. That's all she did. She ate a lot of keratin growing food so she could, yeah, exactly. It was just as weird as you'd think. So that's all of our safety talk. We do have the open door. You're adult, you're grown up, you're here to have fun with us. But if something comes up you got to go deal with it. If you can give us a heads up, cool. If you got to go deal with it, I will pause for a moment or two, but then I'll continue on with the game and we'll bring you back up to speed. No big deal. Not a problem at all. So with all of that out of the way, we're going to go around the horn and have folks just quickly introduce themselves, but then we've got some other things before we introduce characters. So if you could introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, I'm you. What's Ferret? But no, I am Ferret, also known as Sawyer. I use any pronouns. I will take yours like a Fey Lord if you give them to me. And I'm here to have fun in the Star Wars setting.
Cool. Greg?
Hey, I'm Greg. I use he, him pronouns. I'm super excited to explore this. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I've taken a perusal through the character keeper, and I'm excited to play with all these interesting damaged Imperials. It's going to be fun.
So damaged, so interesting. Jex.
Hi, I'm Jex Thomas. They, them pronouns, and I'm having a heck of a time finding a good picture for my character.
It is one of those things that, like, until it comes to you, it's very frustrating, and then all of a sudden magically you'll find the right pick and heavens open up. I look forward to it. Steven.
My pronouns are he, him, and I usually also have a hard time finding pictures. So that's the one little bit of homework I do before I game. And usually I do that before I build a character, is which picture's the coolest, and then I'll build a character around that. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. And my thing with pictures is that occasionally I'll say, oh, for this game, I'm going to seed in a couple of NPCs. And then I go overboard, like I've done in this game. So I apologize for that ahead of time, but we'll weed them out as they become less interesting. And I'm sure some of these folks will die. Okay, we've got some things, some world building to do, and I'm taking a cue from how Jim Crocker ran it, and my understanding of the way that Last Fleet recommends that we do it. So we're going to talk a little bit about the war before and after. Then Last Fleet is created to be much more open-ended. I do have a bit of a thrust for the overall pitch, but I do want to open it up because 5 beautiful brains, you might have some really interesting ideas here. I am not 100% beholden to canon. The only thing that is incontrovertibly true in Star Wars Saturdays is that the original movies have happened. Original movies being New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Those things have happened. Other things are possibilities, but those are the things, and we are setting it after Return of the Jedi, like right after Return of the Jedi. Palpatine just died. The Empire's on the run, especially for this Last Fleet. So, what human civilization was like before the war, just a general, it was a decades-old vast galactic empire, which grew after the fall of a republic that had fallen itself, and due to many, and in many eyes, had given up on its ideals. Anything else we want to throw in about what human civilization was like before the fall of Coruscant, the death of Palpatine? We can also explore this in flashbacks. I just want to know, is there anything people want to throw in?
Well, I mean, the trains all ran on time.
Indeed.
Yeah, the space trains, the space shipping lanes. I can't. I mean, I feel like we need to. Is this supposed to be from the point of view of the Imperials, or is this a more objective view of
That's a great question.
What the world was like before the war?
To each of your characters, what is one thing that your character or you imagine folks might miss about the Imperial civilization, or just living on a planet, whatever? I think, Jex, for the trains all ran on time. There was an order. You could count on things. Like, stuff got done. That's
Yeah,
really
I think
cool.
for my character, it's very much there was more certainty. Like things happen a certain way.
The Empire defended the weak and those who needed it, and applied a structure and a level of protection. Of course, we had to give up some freedoms for that, but it very much defended us when we needed defending.
Yeah, from my standpoint, we always had enough. I don't know if others did not, but we were never without.
Nice. Greg, what about how do you say your character's name?
We'll figure that one out.
Okay.
I think from her perspective, or at least from a Chiss's perspective, this is sort of like that. There's a cyclical nature to this. that the empires that ships are from the unknown regions. They're like way out in space, right? So that what happens in the core, there's this cyclical nature. So I'm not sure how that necessarily affects how the way was before the war, but like there was inevitability to this. Let me think on that one for a second.
Okay. Another way to think about it, what is something your character misses about the time before the war?
I was sort of thinking like many were blind to the oncoming collapse. Although it was a time with, you know, to others, it was a time of certainty and a time of finally having enough. They were blind to this being a cycle and eventually that this empire would fail.
Okay.
Maybe to phrase that in a different way, there was
Mhm.
stagnation that people did not notice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's that. Thank you, sir.
Stagnation of the empire or stagnation of the republic?
I
just want to make sure I'm clear.
Yeah, that's a great question too, Stephen. Well, the original thing was sort of there's a stagnation of the empire.
Okay.
Interesting.
There was a certain entitlement that the empire felt. I like that. Yeah, there was people didn't. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble phrasing it. Because I switched to tea this morning instead of coffee, y'all. The
Fatal flaw right there.
Fatal flaw. Yeah, I think the empire was what people miss about it though. People didn't have to try as hard for social movement.
That is that's a very cynical and interesting point of view. I love it. Cool. All right. What are the enemy like? What the enemy are like? Are they aliens? Robots? Do we even know at the start of the game what their true nature is? Now, of course, like some of the alien is, I would assume, going to be the rebellion, the New Republic, trying to weed out last of the empire, of course. But I also wanted to make space in case there were people who wanted to say, oh, well, it's definitely this particular part of alien species that have a meat on for whatever, because you found that interesting in Star Wars lore, or if you wanted it to be droid rights, like, are there particular, other than it's the rebels, that folks are interested in exploring with us, the enemy?
Something that you have made in other games. I think the Hutt cartels are against the empire, the Imperial fleet, just because it's time. They're weak enough now that they can pay for their hubris.
Nothing more flippant in the Star Wars universe than a Hutt.
Interesting. I like it. Cool. Did anybody have other thoughts?
I'm going to step out and talk about the rebels. The rebels are terrorists. They come in and they don't care who they destroy. They just, take out their objective, but there's a lot of collateral damage as well.
I think I'm sorry, go ahead, Jax.
Well, it's just, whoops, my chair just was not locked. That made me think about, I really, really love, oh God, why am I blanking on the name now? I suspect I guess it's not canon yet, but he'd be dead by by the time of this, but Forrest Whitaker's character in Rogue One, why can I not think of his name?
Crap.
Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, I love the exploration of like that band of, I mean, they're not technically part of the rebellion, and they're definitely, probably viewed by terrorists by the Empire, but I really love that kind of more extreme sort of version of people uprising against the Empire. So that I'd be interested in exploring that a little bit. I don't know.
From my character's perspective, they have a skewed perspective of what the rebellion has done, and sees a lot of the actions like through that Saw Gerrera viewpoint of the ends justify the means.
That's dope. I'm really excited to explore that.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. I just had a character who was essentially the rebellion didn't go far enough. The rebellion is now interested in just being a governmental body. They gave up on the war part. So I love that, and I'm also interested in exploring this sort of like, in Leia's words, hope. Right, like the rebellion, this rebel nature. This is like a meme. This is an idea that can pervade the fleet if we don't cut it off.
Nice. Cool. That's some real cool stuff. Any other last bits on what the enemy are like? All right. How does the enemy hide among the fleet? Rebel spies is like my default assumption, but I wanted to open space in case there are other ways. Are they shapeshifters? Some kind of illusion? Do they look just like us in their natural form, like a Claudite, but when you kill them, then they turn into Claudites? Or do we just want to go with the idea of rebel spies? Like, I'm trying to make space. Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
Real quick, can I revise my previous what are we nostalgic for?
Yeah.
I think I finally crystallized it in my mind. Force and martial skill was valued and got you promotions.
Yeah.
And I think Tagashia is terrified that might go away. Sorry.
No, that's good. Thank you. That's really good. And I'm glad we have that answer. Thank you for adding it.
I noticed none of us took like the engineer kind of role move. So I was thinking maybe the enemy also gets to us through like droid hacking or droid rigging, so that we our engineers are highly valuable because they're the ones that make sure that we can rely on our electronics.
That's awesome. And putting in the hands of NPCs is scary too. That's really cool. Good.
I think maybe the rebels, or the New Republic, as they like to brand themselves now, they have incredibly like targeted propaganda. They now that they've secured Coruscant, they have all of these Imperial records, and so they're very good at like misinformation campaigns that and feel free to line misinformation campaigns that affect the fleet. Crud. Okay, let me just try disconnecting and reconnecting.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's interesting stuff. Targeting misinformation campaigns is yeah. Cool.
And if I may be so bold as to double dip with one of the player characters, and we were talking about force sensitivity without the Jedi and things of that nature, maybe there are sleeper agents or Manchurian style candidates out there.
Yes. Sleeper agents. So you're talking about, are the sleeper agents in your mind? Because I know you have, or wait, you don't have. Jex has sleeper agent, right? So I'll give some definite lean towards Jex's thoughts, but
Yeah, and that's only if like Jex doesn't mind like not being the only one. If Jaina wants to, like I'm fine. That's just a prompt. If you prefer just to be like sort of like the only one or the only, yeah. Basically, if it's up to you to also agree with.
I think one of the things that's interesting, I think, is the paranoia aspect of my character. Because I mean, I'm the Gaius Baltar, right? I don't really know what I'm doing all the time or what my what my role is. So I think it's definitely possible that there's other sleeper agents. I like the idea of maybe not knowing for a long time, like there being a tension there of like, are there others like me? I don't even know what I am, right? But yeah, I do like that.
that is cool. So sleeper agents, unknown number, who is directing them. That's cool. I like that. Jason, and maybe I should read the move, but I do want to. You know what? I'll ask when we do character introductions. I don't need to ask now. I don't need to preempt. Good. Greg, do you want to talk for just a minute and see if the popping's good?
Check 1, 2. Hello, hello.
Sound
To
crystal
sit in
clear.
solemn silence on a dull, dark dock. Okay, here we go.
Ooh. Nice. Thank you very much. Sweet. Let's move on to talk about our fleet. I couldn't help myself again. I stuck a Star Destroyer in here because if we're going to play a bunch of Imperials, why would we not? So I stuck in a Secutor class Star Destroyer and a Gazanti class cruiser. But I want to ask a question. What's the fleet like? Is there just the one big ship, or are there a number of ships traveling together?
Much like Battlestar Galactica, that survived that battle. So it's a group, but mismatched. Like maybe a
Yeah.
tanker. Yeah.
I like the idea of it's what we could get. It's maybe not it's not an optimal, fleet configuration in any way. It's what we could get out.
Well, and one thing that's great about that I mean, I do think that they kind of played on in Battlestar as well, right? Is that then, there's one ship that kind of has to protect all the other ships in a lot of ways, which is really fun and interesting and potentially terrifying.
Yes. Yes, I'm into that. Cool. So then the let's see, Star Destroyer. Yeah, I really like that aspect of it as well. Cool. Anything else about the fleet? We'll define some fleet ships in a bit. I think that's good enough to start with. I just want to make sure I'm not cutting anybody off. Who runs the fleet? Is it exclusively a military operation, or is there a civilian authority as well?
So I guess that question is more like, do we have a Moff with us?
Yeah. Yeah. Do we have a civilian authority, or is this purely a military operation that they have gathered other ships with them?
I like to imagine that there was a moth, that something happened to them, and now like the military has taken over for now, but like there's still that sort of power vacuum.
Barrett, do you read my mind somehow?
Yes, I did take the Pisces playbook, so I have force powers.
Goodness. Yeah. So what's the next level below Moth, right? there's there's not Grand Moff, but there's like a sub Moff in training.
That is a real good question. Hold on.
When I remember from your sheet, there was Grand Moff and then
Yeah, it was
Moff.
what I was going to. It's like,
Governor or viceroy?
Ooh, Viceroy is such a good name.
Viceroy is a cool name.
I like the idea that we have a viceroy, the next level down, but part of the fleet has started to refer to them as the Moff. So there's a tension there.
And I know it's a bit forward, but I would like the Moff to have been my character's grandmother.
I'm into it.
You're not talking about the new Moff. You're talking about
the deceased one.
Yeah. Do we know
That's
they're
really
deceased, or are they Star Wars deceased?
Oh no, I think this was a very public. Like this was like a died of grief or like this was not something. It's public.
More reason to hate those rebel terrorists.
So it was basically Moff Ganson. That's a badass name. Oh, that's hot. That is hot. Good stuff. Cool. Now we're very excited about this, and I'm hoping that people are already thinking along these lines. What factions are there on the fleet? So I'm going to give each of you the ability to create a faction. And if anybody wants to opt out, like that's enough, or you've covered my thing, that's cool. We can always create a faction later that heretofore we didn't know about, but has been working in the background or just hasn't been featured. That's a-okay. Does anyone have a faction they want to lead off with?
I do.
All
If I may go first again.
Sure.
I call them the Rekindlers. They are people who either survived the Clone Wars, or if there were in this, they believe that by cloning the most powerful and smart and gifted of the old empire, they can bring them back. The future is not just humanity, it is the traditions we held.
Wow. That is good. That is really interesting. Let's see. So nature and agenda, feel like a little bit of that's already in the pitch that you threw out. Is there anything more about? Like,
I think the only thing is that it started off as very clean, cut, dry, and like scientific. We were doing this for a reason. It's becoming quasi-religious. Like it's getting to the point where clones are starting to be held in higher regard than those who made them, kind of thing. Or
where does the cloning happen? Is there a clone? Is there a ship that has cloning technology on it? Is it on the Star Destroyer? What do you think?
It's on the Star Destroyer. There will be a reason for this in my character's backstory, hopefully, or at least a reason to have his stuff. And I think like there's also like a store, like some stored genetic material just waiting to be like, we may not have Moff Ganson yet.
I see someone's already typed in cloning vats. Thank you. That's prescient and very necessary. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I almost pre-named the Star Destroyer the Hand of Sorrow, but now I'm really curious what we're going to end up naming that thing. That's awesome. Stephen, do you have a faction you'd like to add to?
I think that it's very Star Wars forward. We have a faction of the civilian versus the military.
Okay.
So I'm kind of naming two factions, right? You have the grunts, you have the soldiers, and I think that's the faction I want to name, who believe that if they had been in charge, we wouldn't have suffered these defeats.
When you say we, the Empire or the fleet itself?
The Empire.
Okay. Nice. So I just called it pro-military. If you have a different name for it, feel free.
No, that sounds right. Yeah.
Okay. And then you said that you had in mind the idea of civilian. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So I was talking about the military and that they objected to the that the military wasn't in charge. And that means necessarily there's another faction that is in charge. And I don't want to take over other factions, but this could be the religious, Empire Sith people, Emperor and Darth Vader. This could be the civilian authority, like through the Moff and the governors. We can leave it open-ended. Yeah.
Anyone want to step in and talk about the civilian authority that I guess is a power vacuum based off if the Moff passed away and the military have stepped in, then the pro-military faction is in power. But then there's a civilian authority that may want to step back into power.
I don't have a strong faction idea, so I'm happy to flesh out. I would like the Viceroy's Council. Is maybe the name of the faction, and I think there's a differing perspective on goal. I think the military faction, which would be cool if it was like named after like maybe go like a regiment name or an attachment name, a division name.
Yes. Let's think about that. That's a great. Keep going.
Yeah, I think the Viceroy's Council the military wants to continue this conflict, and the Viceroy's Council, especially with the death of the Moff, is perhaps looking to go stealthy and escape somewhere where the Empire can rebuild, and it tries to avoid conflict. That puts them in direct conflict with the military faction, right? They are hey, we need to not take any risks. We need to stay stealthy, fly under the radar, get somewhere, rebuild. Yeah.
And do you imagine the Viceroy's Council probably has their power outside of the Star Destroyer and the other ships on the fleet?
Yeah, I don't think it make any sense if they had the control of the Star Destroyer. Yeah, they have. Well, when we get to the ships, I have one that I think would work for it. But yeah, and they are definitely, just because I love it, they are the Imperial. That there's the Emperor, and then there's the people in the weird hats that follow the Emperor around. That's what the Viceroy's Council looks like. They're the people in the weird hats. Maybe they are human, but yeah, they are a civilian authority. They are not in military dress in any way.
And do you imagine that are they elected officials or are they appointed?
Elected. They are Empire style elected. Yeah, probably appointed, truly appointed. There was probably sham elections to keep them in power.
Nice. I like it. Cool. So we have the Rekindlers, who are a quasi-religious order, fascinated, obsessed with cloning the best parts of the Empire, the old Empire to revive it. We have the as yet unnamed, but needs to be like regiment name or something, pro-military faction military soldiers who believe that if they were in charge, the Empire wouldn't have suffered this defeat. They want to continue the conflict.
I have an idea for one. I like the idea of there being like a criminal faction. You know, probably mostly from the civilian side, but probably some of the military folks are involved as well. I think that they primarily deal in information, but they also do a lot of other, criminal type stuff. You know, probably selling illegal stims or, whatever else. They have their hands in a lot of different pots because they're kind of the only gang or only criminal organization on the fleet. But I think like whoever the leader of this organization is kind of an information broker, and they sort of let the other stuff happen because it helps them get this information, right? If someone's buying illegal stims, well, that's pretty good information to have, right? To know, especially if it's like, maybe someone higher ranking in the military. I do not have a good name for this organization, so I'm all open if anything calls to anybody. Maybe
Involving the quartermasters would be interesting
okay,
because or just like they're called the quartermasters or something. Because quartermasters would have control over all the resources, right?
Yeah. I think that's good. Yeah, I think I like that a lot. I think quartermasters works.
That's great. Good name. I'm into it. Let's circle back around to this pro military. We got to name it. I'm so excited. Steven?
Grace Battalion.
What battalion? Can you say that again?
Greys, GREY''S, or the Carnivore Battalion. I found a list of clone trooper units by searching, and I'll drop that in the chat to see if any of those are any better. There's a list of like 270.
Holy crap.
But
Should roll a D170.
Yeah, I just picked a couple. Shadow Squadron. The only concern I have here is these are things that might exist in the media someplace, and I don't want any dissidents. But I mean, all of those, I like Shadow Squadron probably the best out of those.
I like Shadow Squadron as a concept, but these are people who want to be in charge, so they're probably the light of day. Like, I don't think they're trying to be shadowy to me.
Yeah, true.
I wondered if like the 501st Legion, if we could play on something like that. Because that's so popular.
There was
The Final Legion.
That's good. That's good.
I don't know. Does anyone want to try to beat Final Legion? Because it seems like that might be where we go. Nice, the Final Legion. Damn, that's fatalistic. That's a cool list, though. I am bookmarking the hell out of that. Mr. Clone Trooper units. Thank you very much. Cool. We have our factions created. Now we get to do the real fun part. Each of you get to create a ship in the fleet. So Sawyer's jumped in first a few times. I'm going to pick on somebody else.
I had one that works for the civilian authority. If we wanted to
Egg, hit me up. What do we got?
Okay, so this is a Star Galleon. That's a Star Wars deep cut. Let's see. Do I just paste it into sell, or here? I'll just put the link down here below. This is the one below the Star Destroyer. Star Galleons are big. They're like Imperial freighters. They were sort of the backbone of the Imperial economy. And I imagine
where'd you drop that ship ideas?
So it's the box below the Star Destroyer. I just put a link at the bottom of that one. Or I can just insert into. Is it insert into cell?
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah, we drew.
Oh, that's hot.
Ship will need a name. Oh well, it's okay. So it's, you know, they're freighters. This is Star Galleon 6341. And it is a civilian ship. I think the significant resources is just straight up manpower. This is where a lot of the civilian populace resides in the fleet. There's probably also, you know, we were talking about droid technicians. So there's a knowledge base that exists on that ship. Do we want to pull any significant NPCs in?
Sure.
Let's see. So I can grab.
May need to make up somebody.
Yeah, I mean, we'll need a captain. I think the captain, I think she was, she's not used to this Imperial Navy structure that the Star Destroyer sort of demands of her. You know, she's used to doing like long hauls and being away from that sort of military authority for long periods of time. And obviously, the Viceroy's Council also resides on there. They have probably taken over far more space than they have a real right to, with like really decadent quarters, but they're built into these like standard Imperial. So they've like put up a whole bunch of fancy stuff, but if you like move the curtain aside, there's just a shipping container wall.
Oh, that's great. Dang it. That's cool. Sweet. So Viceroy's Council, and that's
It'll probably explode in the second session, but
great. That's great. Star Galleon 6341, the host of the yeah, that's good. Good. Dang it.
I'm also, if we come up with a name for the Viceroy, I'm totally willing to have the Viceroy insist that the ship is actually named after them.
Oh, let's do that. Please. That's too perfect. All right, let's name our Viceroy. Jex, do you want to name our Viceroy?
Sure. I am probably just going to use the Don John Star Wars name generator. How about, could it make sense for the Viceroy to be a Rhodian? Is that?
Wow. So we're gonna have a non-human?
I don't know.
Interesting.
I mean, I can't.
I'm not opposed to it at all. I just think that's fascinating.
I just like this name. Where to go? Odak Tetsu.
Man. Odak Tetsu. Awesome.
Is Odak like a really old Rhodian? Like been politically maneuvering for a really long time?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What pronouns does Odak use?
He, him, I guess.
Okay. Viceroy's Council. So Odak is the captain or the Viceroy? Viceroy, right?
Yeah, I don't think Odak is going to lower himself to flying a spaceship. I think I give it Captain Natalia Chun is the civilian pilot, civilian captain.
Can you spell that last name for me?
CHUN. It's in the
Okay, I wasn't sure if there was a G. Oh, you already stuck her in? Oh, okay. Where's she at? Where's she at?
Oh, she's not in the NPC tab yet. I'll
Oh,
find
okay.
something.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So I'm gonna basically call this part of Viceroy's. I imagine she's probably got some mixed feelings about the Viceroy's Council being headquartered in her place. But she's probably still a member of the. Nice. Good stuff. That is really good. Thank you for the work. That is delightful. Ferret, do you have a ship you'd like to add to the fleet?
I've needed this time to think about this actually, but I'm going to be using, I don't know the name of the ship, but the one in season 2 of The Mandalorian, when like, on that planet where he met the other Mandalorians and they took over that kind of like medium-sized ship with a
And Blue at the Hell?
Blew it to hell. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Gazanti class cruiser. I love it. I actually have a picture of one if you want to use that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Awesome. I'm so happy. I love the Gazantis. They're really neat looking. They're like bulldogs or something. So sweet. Military or civilian?
I think this one is recently military. I think it was taken after the Moff Ganson passed.
Ooh, interesting. All right. So talk to me a little bit about what faction do you think is in control here?
I think the Final Legion is in control here. And that it was taken in payment for Moff Ganson's excesses.
Wow. What significant resources exist on this cruiser?
Ooh, I think now at the very least, like a lot of weaponry is stored on it. Armor, blasters, that kind of stuff.
Cool. Do you have a name for her or the ship?
I think the Reclamation.
Nice. Captain's name?
Let me check the NPCs you have.
Yeah, feel free if there's one where you're like, oh, I like the look of that person. I just want to
Oh,
make
Lieutenant
them into.
Shin.
Oh, crazy. Lieutenant Shin. Cool. Captain Shin. Oh, that's awesome. Moff Ganson. Nice pick. I'm into that. Very cool. So let's put Shin in the faction of the Final Legion. Awesome. I guess we'll call him. I mean, in the Empire, I think Shin is probably still a lieutenant, but because he's controlling a ship, he is called captain, right? Because he's the Captain Lieutenant Shen. I like the juxtaposition of that. That's cool. Nice. Any more information about the reclamation you want to share? We can always expand as we go.
I think I want to figure out how many civilians still reside on it, but we can find that out in play.
Cool. Jax, do you want to make us a ship?
Yeah, my idea for a ship is a ship that it's a civilian ship, and it is run by a civilian, or ostensibly run by a civilian news organization, so journalists, but it's also the sort of headquarters for, or at least where the leader of what you call it, the faction I made up, is the quartermasters, or cult of quartermasters. So the cult leader is located on this ship. I think the ship is called the New Harbinger. I don't know if there's an old Harbinger or not, but this is the New Harbinger.
Nice. That's a spooky name. Ideas for the captain?
Not really. I guess I'm open to ideas. Like, I don't know, would it likely be someone military that's kind of taken it, or would it be, maybe a civilian?
It could be.
That's,
It's a civilian ship, so it could
Yeah.
totally be a civilian, no problem.
what if it's someone who's not really much of a captain? Maybe they're a pilot for like I mean, they're not like a newspaper delivery person, but something sort of on that spectrum of they did like runs for the news organization. Maybe they would take reporters places to film their holo news or whatever, that kind of thing. So, oh, nice.
That's great. It's so messed up too. So trouble. I love it.
I do not know their name.
Okay. You want to, if you want, we can take a look at the surnames. We just need a surname. So grab a surname from columns K through N on the names and species helper at the top there. Does that help?
Let's go with Marnock.
Oh, that's cool. Captain. M-A-R-N-O-K or C?
N-A-C-H.
Nice. And Marnock was like over their head. He, her, he, him. What's the pronouns you think for Marnock?
Let's say they, them.
Does the New Harbinger have like significant electronic warfare resources or something?
I mean, I was thinking the main resource was information.
Yeah,
but
no, that's great.
I mean, I think it definitely has like stuff that could be used for surveillance, stuff that could be used. It probably has like some, like whatever the Star Wars version of like an EMP is. Because why wouldn't a news organization have that, right? Yeah. So I think some kind of electronic warfare stuff, but mostly information.
Cool. I like that. I'm gonna grab Jex, what do you think about, and I'm borrowing from Greg's generosity, what do you think about that pick for our info? Oh shoot, what do we call it?
Yeah, it looks great. It has a satellite dish on it.
The New
so-
Harbinger. Yeah. Cool. Okay. I'll grab that. Pick there.
So the Dreadnought is like a super old school ship. That's
Is it?
Yeah, that's a Dreadnought. That's a good choice. I like it. It would be like recommissioned for this use.
I love the whole idea of like old tech being reused. I just think that's a cool bit.
They bought it at an Imperial fire sale.
Perfect. Perfect. Cool. Let's see. So I think we're to Steven for a ship.
Yeah. So I'm gonna expand something that I think that Ferret mentioned, the reclamation. I think my ship is going to be an experimental TIE fighter. I put a link below in L65 of a picture. I just Googled and found a TIE Hunter picture. And I think that the reclamation was described as having like uh, all sorts of equipment and that kind of stuff. I think some of this is experimental equipment. So the TIE Hunter is an experimental fighter. So we have a crew of these experimental fighters that are out there, as well as I Googled and found another thing, which is the link just below the other one, which is a hyperspace ring for TIE fighters. Now, these are disposable, they're not reusable. So they get you one place and then they drop off. But that's, that's fine. That's all we needed is we needed to get to the fleet, right? So, and we can come up with like other experimental potential things that the reclamation has associated with it.
Interesting. There we go. So you got a TIE Hunter. Is this just one? Are you seeing this as a squadron?
I don't think it's as big as a squadron. I think these are limited because they're still experimental, but I think there's a number of them. The number could be as many as NPCs as you want to pop into them. But yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you're seeing a number of experimental fighters that do have limited use. Like, are you imagining it's a like one jump or two jumps, like there and back jump? Like, what are you thinking?
So I think Greg just popped the video in into the chat, but basically this is a different experiment. These ships don't have that ability. This other experiment is a little ring that attaches to any of the ties. It grasps around the ball of the TIE fighter, and it's a one-shot thing. I think it's in the video, so it's in my headcanon now, is that the Empire just throws these things away. So they make little short one-shot jumps to get to some place, to get to the fleet, right?
That's
and they'll leave these deployed in different places so that you can just pop it on and take off. And that's why a lot of the TIE fighter family have that same ball, is so that these things can wrap around and they can jump.
That's crazy. Which faction do you think is in control of these experimental fighters?
What faction has the I would say it would be military as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the last Final Legion? Final Legion.
Yeah, the Final Legion. Yeah. But I so want to, I want to give other faction ships too.
Are the Rekindlers in control of the Secutor class?
Yeah.
I like that.
Like they're like maybe keeping those cloning vets a little secret from the rest of the fleet.
I wouldn't say keeping secret. Maybe they're protecting them.
Protecting them. Exactly. Of course.
Yeah. Only you get to use them for official uses only.
So Fair, do you imagine the Rekindlers are they the power behind the throne and the Final Legion thinks they're in control, or are they like, because I've imagined
I think the
that
Final Legion is kind of using them almost parasitically. Like, these people have delusion and the grandeur to back the Final Legion. Once if they were no longer useful, I don't think the Final Legion would hang around. But until they've proven they're not useful, they're useful.
Well, let me make sure I understand. Are you saying the Rekindlers are using the final legions, or the final legions the front?
It's kind
or
of
the
like
power behind
the Rekindlers are the face. That way, if
Ah.
someone comes after the final legion, there's not only there's a buffer, but there's people like footing the bills for a lot of the stuff. You know, like the final legion is there to make these Rekindlers' dreams come true. Almost, you know, they have the power. Like they see themselves. It's almost like I guess a puppet leader. You know, the final legion is probably really in control. These people think they're in control.
One or the other is a scapegoat.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
we will find out soon.
The Final Legion's ethos is so abhorrent that the cloning cult is the better face, is what I'm hearing.
Geez. Are you guys cool if Elaine Price is in charge of the Star Destroyer? Does that sound cool? All right.
I did drop a pic in there for Natalia Chun. She's from Serato,
Yay.
because why not? She's a vaguely cyberpunky picture, so
That is a pretty dope pick. Yeah, she's got a little bit of work, had a little bit of work done on that eye. I am into that. Very cool, very cool. All right. So everybody's created a ship for the fleet, correct? Have we named our Star Destroyer? That's a pretty important. I mean, it's Battlestar Galactica, so naming our Star Destroyers, one of those things that could freak people out, but we're going to be okay. This Jex rapidly goes to a Don John list to help us out. No.
No, I'm looking for a good picture for Odek.
Cool. So, do we have suggestions for the name of our Star Destroyer?
I would say Pandora's Grasp because it has hope in its hand.
Pandora.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like they just call her the Pandora, but it may be the full name, the official name for anybody that looks on the side of it. Like it will say the Pandora's Grasp with Pandora's good. That's good a lot. That's good. Nobody's going to have any like flashes to Pandora from other media, right? We're good. It's going to call it. No, okay, good. Just want to make sure. Natalia Chun looks dope, and she's not Chiss, right? It's just a little lighting trick.
it's just blue. Yeah, blue light.
Okay, cool. Strong's good play. I like Natalia Chun being against the militarization stuff. That's interesting. Yeah. That's interesting. Oh, this is so good. I love this fleet. Cool. Let's oh, we got a picture for Odek too. That's a very political figure looking. That's great. Good pick. Worth the long search. Perfect.
Haven't there been other Tetsu Rhodians? I have to look.
I think so. Which tickles me to no end. That last name sounds cool. I think it might be time. Swoop Gang characters.
Do you want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break. All right, we're back. And what we're going to do now is have everyone introduce their player characters. These will be the featured cast of our game. And what we'll do is we'll go around for folks to introduce your characters, and then we'll circle snake order, and start to do relationships. Now, relationships work in an interesting way in this game during character creation. If you define a relationship with another player character, you get a level 1 relationship with them. If you define 2 relationships with that same character, you still have a level 1 relationship with them. So it just means you have established a relationship with him versus not having a relationship with him. Relationships mechanically represent how much you care about another character. Each relationship has a target and a level from 1 to 3. You start with some, you can create more, increase their level by reaching out or through relevant playbook moves. So don't feel like this is set in stone. This is just the state at which they are when we begin play. And just to make sure I don't skip over things, because sometimes I get excited and do, I'm going to start from the left-hand side of the character keeper, heading towards the right, which means, Stephen, kick us off and tell us about your PC.
Canna, and she is, her pronouns are she, her, and she is an Endorian. That's with a E instead of an A. She is from the forest moon of Endor, where as a young child, her parents crash landed in their ship, and they formed a little village with other disparate people in order to eke out a living. And then the Imperials came, and the Imperials actually, started trading with the village and learning more from the village. And she was actually hired to teach some of the, she'd been scooting around this area in a speeder bike forever. And she taught some of the scout troopers, this is places you should avoid. This is how you zip in and out of the trees, that kind of stuff, to give them practice. And she and her family were compensated for this. And she was actually taking her entrance tests whenever the rebel terrorists attacked Endor and destroyed the village where she came from. They say it's collateral damage, but they destroyed the military base, which of course destroyed the village as well. She hates she hates the rebels, and she's a newly, minted pilot.
Question: what is her opinion of Ewok? I have to ask. I'm sorry, I have to ask.
Oh.
What's her opinion of Ewoks, or what's her experience with them?
So I hadn't considered that. That's a good question. Her experience with Ewoks is they're sort of like, they are the wild natives here. She hasn't interacted with them personally, and she knows to kind of avoid certain areas because they're very territorial, as most animals are. So I think she views them more as creatures and not people.
All right. Good to know. Thank you so much for telling us about, I would assume since she is a pilot, she is a officer of some kind. So she's at least a lieutenant.
Okay.
So
do we need to pick rank?
yeah, let's pick
Okay.
rank.
Okay, so I'm not sure. I'll have to look through the ranks. She has a call sign, which is Revenge, but most people just call her Rev for short.
Cool. The ranks are listed on the EPC tab starting column N, and it would be, there's just basically anything in commissioned officer, not ensign, because you don't get a TIE fighter when you're a freaking ensign. So you're a lieutenant commander, one of those two. Just choose the one you're most interested in. Let's move on to Greg.
Hi, I'm Greg. He, him pronouns. I'm playing Tagashia. We'll work on the pronunciation. We'll land on something. Tagashia is a Chiss who are from the outer regions of space, but they have sort of a history with the Empire, Grand Admiral Thrawn being, of course, the most notable. Tagashia is an Imperial assassin. She has worked with numerous Imperial irregular troops. She probably has led forces on the ground. She's run sort of counterinsurgency operations. She is the wet works, the black hand of the Empire, but not Sith Inquisitor. In fact, she's probably kind of sketched out by all of that. One of the playbook moves is that I have a secret. It's not entirely clear if the game wants that to be an open secret or a closed secret between myself and the GM. Personally, my playstyle is I like an open one. if we're all good with that. If it's okay with Ferret, I think Tagashia's dark secret is that she killed Moff Ganzen. Okay, great. Because I was sort of leaning towards like, she's an Imperial assassin. What's the darkest secret an assassin can have for the Empire? She killed an Imperial. She may have even done it on behalf of the Viceroy.
She may have done it on behalf of the quartermasters.
Well,
we don't know.
We don't know yet. But it was
So
a
good.
political maneuver and sort of a, you know, an internal payoff thing that someone knew she could do it. I'm still I like that, you know, Moff Ganzen died publicly. So perhaps it was a poisoning or something along those lines. If that doesn't cross any lines, we can explore that too. And yeah, she's tough as nails. She's a fighter. You know, if she's aligned with any faction, it's probably the cult of the quartermasters, because that dark underworld feels right. And she would certainly have skills they're interested in. I think that pretty much covers her.
But she is a soldier, right? You took the Marine role.
Yes, she is a Marine. She is a soldier, but she is not a soldier in any like regular military sort of. She wasn't part of a regiment. She was like, you know, she was sent to you know, in a you know, she would charter a freighter pretending to be, you know, just a chiss who's exploring the galaxy, and she would show up to a rebel base and she would ingratiate herself with somebody, and then she would silently assassinate a leader, and then she would leave.
Okay. That is interesting. So she has no rank then.
No official rank. Are you allowed to just not have a rank? Is that part of?
Well, you need a role.
Okay.
So she could
in that
also
case,
be.
she's
She
probably
could
a lieutenant.
be. So let's talk it through a little bit. I want to make sure
Sure.
it works, because I want to make sure that she is like, I know you wouldn't head this way, but I don't want to make sure that we pigeonhole the character to where she doesn't give a shit about the fleet surviving, and doesn't have anything to do when.
Oh no! Like
scale
her
military
killing
conflict.
them off was not because she doesn't like the Empire. She doesn't like them off.
Was a person, right? It was, it's just business.
Yeah. Well, it's business. Yeah.
Was it just business? Did she believe in the Moff needs to go down?
Yes. Why not both? You know, it might have been one of those moments where it was just serendipitous that, you know, someone was willing to pay her to kill Moff Ganzen. I think Moff Ganzen would have Tagashia believes that Moff Ganzen would have led the fleet to ruin. And we're better off, you know, at least Takashia is better off sort of playing the middle in this situation.
Into it.
Maybe I'm a chief from enlisted personnel.
I dig that.
Okay.
Yeah, I dig that. But you're a soldier, so which
the other way I think of it is like, the other way is Tagashia is just officially a recruit, and that's it. Like,
oh, that's interesting. You just
right, because not that many other characters would know that she's been doing this for a long time.
Oh, kind of. Which do you like? Which do you prefer? More?
No, I like that one. I like the recruit. She's a recruit.
I like the recruit. Yeah, people like, you have no rank. They do make you go in as a Marine and do terrible things, but you don't care. You're good at this. Oh, that's cool. That's scary. You're like an insurgent in a way. That's terrifying and awesome. Cool. Thank you very much, Greg. And now, Jax.
I am playing Jaina Madar, who uses she or they pronouns. It's the Scorpio playbook. For those familiar with Battlestar Galactica, this is the kind of Gaius Baltar role. She is part of the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau. I'm kind of torn on whether she's part of like the re-education branch or investigation. I like re-education because I think it fits well with kind of her theme of not necessarily brainwash, but sort of a sleeper agent kind of thing. However, I understand that brainwashing is a thing that lots of people might put lines by. So I wanted to run that past folks and see if anyone has any issue with there being that element of things.
Thank you for the check-in. So, folks, what do you think?
Oh,
I'm okay with
Yeah, we'll
re-education as
mute
long as
it.
it doesn't border into torture. But yeah,
yeah, I'm not interested in torture at all.
As long as it's not aimed at player characters, I'm fine.
Cool. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So I think part of the sort of re-education, which I think is a interesting kind of irony here. What else? I mean, I guess, the military would be kind of the faction she's most aligned with. I suspect that she's probably on Pandora.
I'm very happy to hear that. I like that. That's cool.
I don't know. I don't anything else? Any questions?
I think that's a good start. Thank you very much, Jax.
Mm-hmm.
Sawyer.
I'll be portraying Marwyn Ganson, who uses he, him pronouns and is the Pisces playbook, which means he has bizarre powers. Marwyn is the only surviving family member that Moff Ganson had. His parents were killed by Jedi. He was spared because, as she found out, there's a sense about him. And after that, she felt that there was a very big risk of losing him to either the Imperials or anyone else if his powers should be known. So she created it may be a rumor, as far as Marwyn knows, it's the truth, that he has the real Marwyn that no one has ever met, who lives in a vat, has an incurable disease. Still, some of those exist in this faraway galaxy. His clones, however, and there have been many, are the ones who there's only one clone at a time, but Marwyn has done dumb things and has always gotten a second, third, fourth chance at life due to the Moff's excesses and accessibility to cloning. He is a tactician by role, not through any skill or Sun Tzu level tactical genius, but because he's basically done everything wrong firsthand and has learned from his mistakes of coming back. And the one move I think I will point out is the I am loved. I think it is either let me check to be
Loved by the faithful.
yeah. I will say that is the Rekindlers. He is on the 30th iteration of Marwyn. He is always aged to be the same age as the current one in the vat. And I think with the last fleet, and especially with Moff Ganson having been taken out, there may be enough material for 2 more clonings. But for the first time in his many lives, he's having to deal with the existential dread of not being able to come back.
Oh, that's freaking great. Is everybody cool with that? That's heavy. That's a lot. Okay, good. Just because my brain is on fire for that, man. Oh, and that gets some really good Battlestar Galactica drama in there too, which is that's scary. Oh man. Nice. No, sorry, I'm still in awe. So we're doing snake order. Now we will begin with relationships. Each of the relationships, and unfortunately, it's on the PDF.
I pasted them into the notes on each character.
Oh, thank you so much. That's super helpful. So in the notes, grab one of those relationships and pose it to one of the other players, please. What do you think? And we're starting with you, Ferret. Sorry, it was snake order.
Okay. I know exactly which one I want to posit then. Who sees past the mystique? What ordinary moment have we shared together?
And you're not targeting that, like you just want to know who's interested in it?
I actually think that would most likely be Rev.
I could see that. That's interesting.
Yeah, because I like Rev has been on the battlefield, and it's like it may have been just like a moment of her literally like telling me if you want to like be successful on the battlefield, stop dying. That's a waste of resources. That's a waste of time. It may be hands-on, but learn differently. It could just be an upgrading. It could have just been them like actually just like going out to party after a successful mission.
That sounds good. Yeah, I think we probably hit the like the officers club or something like that, and unwound there. And I think to a certain extent there were a certain amount of jokes about how many of you have died in the field. So
yeah, I think like there's this moment like he almost tried to hit on her, like not like hit on, but he tried to impress her. And like, I've died 30 times. I've never died.
Because I get the hell out of the way. Oh, that's dope. That is dope. Cool. All right, Mark, a level 1 relationship. And I'm sorry, the game is not super clear because the relationships are unequal, but I think level 1 relationship. So you're asking, you mark a level 1 because you asked that question out. That is my understanding of our relationship. So now we will move to Jex. Do you have a relationship question you want to pose out?
Yeah. Oh, these are all juicy.
Mhm.
I think probably who is covering for me. What lie have they told for me? I kind of like if that's Tagashia, but Greg,
What am I
interested in your
covering
thoughts.
for?
Well, the fact that I'm some kind of sleeper agent, right? I mean, I don't know that we know the details of that exactly, but I seem to not be acting
Well,
not acting normally.
What's the specific action that
Yeah, that's
Jania did that like tipped me off that you're like, you're not 100%. It's a good thing you did it in front of me.
Right. Oh gosh, I'm kind of open to ideas on this.
I mean, showing mercy would be something Tagashia would be like not totally okay with.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Maybe we discovered a rebel spy on one of the ships, and I was sort of dispatched to re-educate them. And I didn't re-educate them. I don't know, maybe did I let them escape, or I feel like I couldn't get away with just letting them carry on with their with what they're doing.
Yeah, we were supposed to like we were supposed to kill them and jettison them in an escape pod. You missed that first part.
Yeah, there we go. I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
all
what
right.
lie have you told for me?
That I killed them. Like we were there together. You kicked them into the escape pod, closed the door, and sent them. I was like, I was supposed to kill them.
Yeah. I like that. I'm definitely curious why you would cover for me, but maybe that'll come out in play.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if I missed it. Have we defined who it is that you were supposed to kill and didn't?
Just it was a rebel spy. I don't know. I think probably someone that was among the civilians. And
That may be why Togashi didn't rat you out.
Right, yeah, because if it was like someone in the military, that'd maybe be a different story. Yeah.
And you're thinking it was the sleeper agent programming that prevented you, or a prior relationship as a...
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know why you couldn't do it? You just couldn't do it?
I think, yeah, I mean, I think I had a very strong, feeling that I couldn't do it. But I don't.
Oh, that's wild.
I like the idea that at least starting out, I really don't know what's going on.
That's cool. So you could easily convince yourself you just lost your nerve.
Right.
Not knowing maybe you weren't capable of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's dark. And if you're willing to go there, I am willing to go there with you.
Oh yeah. I'm
going to revise slightly what I did. The lie I told is I jammed the sensors nearby because they're always checking the escape pods for life signs, right?
Yeah.
No life signs on the escape pod.
So that's a much bigger lie too.
Oh, dude, you are deep in it now.
Nice.
Let's name this rebel. Not that they got an escape pod. They're fine. They're never coming back. It's fine. I just the name might be interesting. Might be flashbacks. Who knows?
Yeah. How about her name was Mina Divik? I'll put that in the chat.
Sweet. Mina Divik. Nice. Cool name. And you just don't know why. You just didn't have it in you. That's great. Do you have a species in mind, or we'll just figure it out later? But I'm
Human.
Human? Okay. Great. So then that means you have a level 1 relationship with Togashi. Let's move further to the left and ask Greg. Togashi, do you want to...
Who needs me, warts and all? What recent indiscretion have they overlooked?
I do.
I'm not throwing it to any particular person. You have one, Ferret?
It would be very juicy if I did take it, but I don't want to monopolize if someone else has an idea off the top of their head.
I mean, there's lots of questions. I assume we're doing all of these
until we feel done. I'm good.
Okay.
Let's see, the indiscretion I have overlooked. Okay.
The other juicy part of that is you need me for something.
Yeah.
And I killed your grandma.
Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking I'd want to. The indiscretion is what's giving me the. I don't know if I want to like tie it to like what you just did, or like I don't want to like ruin the play of like I know what you did with my grandmother and I'm okay like off the bat kind of thing. But
what kind of indiscretions do you think? Is Togashi a person that parties too hard?
Yeah, well, Togashi is probably not a very good recruit. So if that would bother Marwin. Or I could have pulled out of, Togashi is not going to fight a losing fight. That's probably not the super Imperial thing. She probably pulled out of a conflict going like, this is a losing battle. I'm not that.
I think I know what it is.
Okay.
I think I know you don't have a real official rank.
And I'm a recruit.
You're a recruit. A CHIS recruit which may be perfect when I need people to not be recruits anymore.
Okay. So okay. So Marwin
It-
needs my services.
Yeah.
Needs my assassin services on occasion. And the recent indiscretion that you overlooked is that I'm kind of a stowaway.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Oh wow, that's dark. Love it. Love it. All right, then that means Tagashia will mark a level 1 relationship with Marwin. And now it's time for a little bit of Rev. Steven, what relationship you want to hand out? You get to do 2 in a row.
So how about who knows how close I am to cracking, and what did I do to recently reveal the pressure I'm under? How about if that is Jania? That sound okay?
Yeah.
And I figure somehow you became aware of the fact that I'm addicted to stems.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
I think that makes sense.
How do you think you found that out?
I think. I think that in that I maybe have been acquiring some information from the quartermaster cult. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm getting information, but I'm getting information. I definitely have a good, recollection of the information that I'm getting, and I think that's one of the things that the quartermaster or one of their underlings was able to tell me.
Is that there's some unusual drug activity going on, and yeah, that makes sense.
Cool.
And I think the second one is so who is the only person that can get through my reserve, and what went wrong when we last had fun together? And I think that'd be fun if that's pointed towards like Peg Shay? How do you say that?
Tagashia.
Nagashia.
Okay. So get through my reserve. What was wrong?
I think that this was us probably partying or something like that, in the soldiers' quarters.
Uh-huh.
Possibly even with Marwin, right? Because I think Marwin was. We talked about that. What went wrong?
Oh, hold on. What's the looking at the fleet? So this would be like aboard the Secutor, aboard the Pandora.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's check in. Do we
yeah.
and I'm sorry, I just
No.
I want to get this little bit of headcanon established. Do we imagine that the Pandora has a 10 forward or a place for people to hang out and have fun? Or is that something that one of the other ships in the fleet provides and you've got to basically shuttle over or TIE fighter over, dock with this thing to actually hang out? Like, I don't think there's a bar on a submarine, like a military submarine, but I'm totally okay saying Star Destroyer is so big, it's like a mile long, that thing does exist. So
I can't. So my headcanon is I can't imagine that a Star Destroyer, the Imperials, would set something aside, but the troops might make like a warehouse or like a storage area.
Sure. Yeah,
into, like,
the
a
hangar
party
bay.
area.
Oh, you get in the hangar bay 42. Okay, cool.
Or
cool.
it could be another ship is taking over that duty so that, for some reason.
Oh yeah, I would imagine that like hangar bay 42, like maybe the quartermaster is made it to where 42 doesn't give the best supplies, but it's so and so place. Yeah, if you want the good drinks, or if you want the good time, you go off the Pandora,
The galactic speakeasy.
Yeah.
So
Jaina and her people will get you if you party too hard on the Pandora in
right.
hangar 42.
So which faction did we both piss off with this party? Like the Final Legion, because they're like, we should be trimmed and ready at all hours.
No, I think it was the quartermasters.
The quartermasters.
we
Oh, that's
used
not
too
good for
much.
me.
Oh, is it?
No, that's fine. That's
He's not
fine.
saying
I like it.
no.
Yeah. So we were partying at this somewhat illicit, speakeasy. Do we invite somebody who shouldn't be there, or let slip that it exists, or
Somebody cheated a spot game and you took them out, or
Well, I like that. I like, maybe we used up too much of the quartermaster's resources, and nobody could be that lucky, right?
oh, so you were accused of cheating. Nice.
it was a grift between the two of us. I like that.
Oh, you were cheating. Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Can't prove it.
Nice. And if you guys don't mind, I think at least in my head canon, like the quartermaster, cult of the quartermaster, the fact that the Hut faction, that you got somebody pulling the Hut cartel as being one of the ones that's hunting you, I think that the quartermaster probably has some ties in the criminal underworld outside of the Hut cartel, like, Crimson Dawn, Black Sun, who are the Pike Syndicate, something along those lines. I don't know yet, and maybe we'll just like hint toward it or figure it out and play. But I think they've got some connections, which is part of why they're such a good info chant in charge. Awesome, that's good. So did deaths happen, or was there a fight and then you're not allowed back kind of thing, or what do you think the repercussions were? And we'll let Rev kind of lead it because this is your relationship you're setting up.
Okay. I don't think there were deaths, but I think that we took people out of commission. Like, there was a big fight. It destroyed some equipment that they're going to have to... Equipment's really scarce now. So...
Cool. That throws it back to me.
Well, before we go any further, sorry.
Sure.
Did we determine this was at the speakeasy on hidden away on Pandora?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, because the reason I ask is you said it pissed off the quartermaster, so I wasn't sure what the quartermaster cult had on Pandora, but that's fine.
I think they're supplying, right? This isn't, there's some they're trying to get their hooks in. So one of the ways they can get their hooks in is to help supply this speakeasy on Pandora. So
well, that sounds good. Jaina, you may be hunting for a speakeasy now. That's great. Okay, now it goes to you did 2, right, Stephen? Cool. So go ahead and mark one with Tagashia. And now Tagashia, you get to offer. But before you do, though, let me ask a question. And this is go wherever you want. But I noticed that the pick you chose, that looks very much to me like a cybernetic arm.
Yes. So Tagashia has if you go on the bottom, she has force field prosthetics for an arm and both her legs.
And you're good with that?
Oh yeah.
That is messed up stuff. I love it. Did she lose all 3 limbs? Did she give up those limbs for upgrades?
I think she lost those limbs. Yeah.
Was it in one thing or in a
I mean,
few
they're all
fights?
kind of identical.
Yeah.
So probably in one thing.
And is this, and of course we can always flashback, but were you imagining that those things were severed, lost in an explosion? We can answer in flash. We can answer later, but
yeah.
I'm really curious about the answer to that question. Sorry.
There might be a Sith Inquisitor to blame. I think would be an interesting sort of route for that.
Oh dear Lord, that's scary.
She doesn't like the Sith. She actually doesn't trust anyone who's force sensitive. So let's see. Who's suspicious I'm up to something? What aroused their suspicions?
Maybe this is too easy.
You
but
are
maybe-
ISB.
Right. I mean, that is part of it. And also I think, that you covered for me is very suspicious in and of itself, right? So I think those kinds of two pieces, I probably have some information, that the ISB is aware of. I mean, I don't know exactly what it is that we would what we suspect, but just that there's something going on with you. I think the main thing that aroused my suspicions was you covering for me, but I think that also the ISB has to have something. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Kind of looping back to Steven, to Marwin's thing. Are you like, have you like looked up my record and discovered that there's not really a record for any recruit to Gashiya?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think
or that it appears to be a little doctored, maybe. If
Yeah,
it
I think
exists?
doctored.
Okay.
I think doctored, right? It's something that because of the situation that we're in right now, we're not looking too far into it. Like, we're sure that you're not a rebel spy, or at least fairly certain enough that we're not going to try to re-educate you or throw you out an airlock.
And me covering for you is what initially aroused your suspicions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was a double cross. Okay, I love it.
All right. Tagashia, mark a relationship with Jane and Madar. Jada, you're up. What would you like to offer out?
Whose ass did I recently save and how? I'll put that out to anybody.
Very valuable, an ISB agent who saved your ass.
Mhm.
Also very costly, an ISB agent who saved your ass.
I'll take it if no one else wants it.
That makes sense to me. I like the idea of it being Marwin. How did I save your ass?
I think I was on trial for Moff Ganzen's death. The closest one to her might have, maybe I was in line for Moff until, like, you like pull it, like, can't be clone. That makes no sense. Clones can't be Moffs. Or like something like you pull like some kind of some kind of legal loophole that like made it so their presses against me didn't stick.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. I'm sorry, I'm a slow handwriter. Sawyer, for Marwin, do you have another you'd like to hand out?
Yes, I have one that's very obvious that I can ask, and I think I will. Who fears or distrusts my power? What has turned them against me?
I think you're aiming that one towards me, Sawyer.
I might just a little bit.
Okay. So yeah, Tagashia does not trust your force sensitivity. Does Marwin display that openly, or is it more like your intuition kind of thing?
I think the most prominent force power is the fact that he remembers after every cloning, he has the memories of the previous clones.
Right. Okay. And so it's like, it's not like a secret, right? Marwin is known to be this is the 30th iteration of Marwin, and we keep all having to report up to this dead clone. I don't like that you just come back to life all the time. Soldiers should stay dead. I mean, what has turned them against what's turned me against you specifically? It's the force sensitivity. I don't trust that power. And I don't trust that you're not going to try and clone back your grandmother.
Very fair.
Yeah. I could deal with you. I can even deal with the whole fact that you die and come back, but your grandmother needs to stay dead or we're all doomed.
That's awful. I love it. Cool. So then, Marwin, you are marking a relationship with Tagashia. And we're doing snake order, so you get a second one, Ferret. Is there one you'd like to pick out specifically for Jaina?
Yes, I believe they're actually both of these work. So I think I will ask both and let Jaina decide which one she answers. Who believes in me? What special role or destiny do they see in me? Or who did I have a significant vision about? Has it come true yet?
I like the vision one.
Okay.
I suspect it's a I know, like the thing that comes to mind first is a vision of me as a traitor of some sort. Maybe that's, I don't know, too straightforward. But it hasn't, as far as anyone knows, it hasn't come true yet.
To make it, I think, juicier than like just traitor, if I may, maybe I saw an image of like you as the next moth.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like in more power than you currently are.
Right.
Yeah.
Having a lot of power. Okay. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, either way, has not come true yet.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. So then it comes back to Jaina. Do you have a relationship you'd like to offer up to Rev?
I think I'm going to do the same thing Ferret did. I'll see which one of these is juicier for Stephen. Who has their doubts about me? How have I allayed them? Or who is closest to me? What signs have they overlooked?
I like the latter one in that I think that Rev basically trusts just about anyone within the Empire because they're here for good reasons, right? And you can easily manipulate her by, playing on that innocence, on that belief in you.
What are there any specific signs that you've overlooked or that have kind of influenced?
I think that some of the specific things are other than the fact that you're obviously an ISB agent, right? You're in the political side, but you've got to be working for the good of us all. And specific things, I'm trying to think of. You seem to be in too tight with some of the underdwellings. Maybe you're at the speakeasy too often. You know more about that kind of stuff than normally you would, or you let that drop. But no, that's got to be okay. I mean, you're just doing your job and trying to make sure everything's okay.
Right. Anything sketchy or suspect that you see is just like, well, there's clearly a plan here. Yeah, I love that. Cool.
Thank you. So then what, Greg, would you like to offer to Rev of your relationships?
Yeah, same thing. Who owes me for something? What was it? Or I'm a little more interested in this one. Who thinks I'm a dangerous liability? Why haven't they taken action yet? But I leave that one to you, Stephen. If you are more interested in owing, who owes me for something.
Yeah, I like the last one.
Okay.
Why are you a dangerous liability? You said that during a fight you wouldn't stick around and if you think it's losing, you wouldn't stick around, right?
Right.
So I think that's part of it. Is I think that I saw you cut and run, and I haven't taken action. Maybe I've kind of taken you under my wing and said, you just need to learn, right? You're relatively new, even though you've seen some shit, and us normal people, we don't get second chances like Marwin. So
I like that. That's a great twist. That not that you haven't taken action yet, but you've taken me under your wing, thinking you can fix this about Tagashia. Yeah, I like that. What was the specific instance where I don't want to take up too much time, but when did I cut and run? Was it an actual like ground fight against the rebels? Was it a space battle? I imagine Takashi will probably fly. She's not a pilot, but
right, I think that's exactly it. You called for your evac before the mission was completely done.
gotcha.
Is that? Do you imagine there's something that's happened since you guys escaped Coruscant? That mission, or was this something on Coruscant during a rebel insurgency of some kind before? What do you think?
I'm okay with it being after the this is a battle between Coruscant and now. There was a battle, and
Yeah,
Tagashia
absolutely.
was recruit, and her fighting instinct was we're gonna lose, get out. But
Sweet. And Rev, what was lost as a result of that battle? That number one, you some people could say, well, if Tagashi had stuck around, maybe you wouldn't have lost it. Number two, some people could say, well, Tagashi was right. This was doomed. Was it one of the ships that was part of the fleet, or was it like a squad of Marines? What do you think was lost?
I think that there was a civilian ship that was being protected by some of the military, by some of the fighters. And whenever Tagashia pulled her, evac thing, those ships had to leave the protection, leave the civilian ship off on their own thing. So that ship, do we want to say it was destroyed, or did it take heavy damage? So it's limping along.
Ooh, the
do you
limping
think?
along is interesting because then it's just like this ongoing.
Yeah. So, yeah, and what way would damage be? Maybe it's bleeding hyperfuel, so it can make a jump, but it's really struggling with it.
That's great.
is that one of our current ships or another ship entirely?
Do we want to make it one of the current ships? New Harbinger, or do we want to make a new one?
I say let's name a new one that's one of the. We don't have any of the ships that are from the quartermasters. Is that right?
Well, the new Harbinger is kind of
New Harbinger's
damaged.
probably
Okay.
under control.
What about the
of that.
Viceroy's Council?
They have the
Star
Star
Galleon.
Galleon.
Okay. So then I think everybody has a ship.
Yeah, more or less. This could just be like a mixture. It's a cosmopolitan kind of thing. So let's say, so let's see. Significant resources damage. Took damage from
I can find another ship.
leaking fuel. That's awesome. Thank you. Good. I'm looking at time, and I think we should buzz through, make sure we finish up. So that means, Tagashia, you now have a level 1 relationship with Rev. And Stephen, if you could find a relationship or offer up what's left to Marwin, see if we can make a connection there. And if none of them fit, you don't like any of them, that's okay too. It's very easy to make relationships in this game. There's a move for it.
So the one that I have left that is of interest to me, I'm not sure if it'll fit. So let's see if we can get that to work, Ferret. Who did I let down, and who hasn't forgiven me, and what for?
That was the one I was hoping you would ask.
Ooh, good.
I have two offers for you. One is with the evac of you and that ship. I think after our moment of like kinship, where like you treated me as a normal person, not just like this, not as a lofty clone to worship or a freak, that I expected better of you, and you evac'd. You should have stayed to defend. You should have stayed to fight.
Oh,
You-
I didn't evac. Tagasha did.
Then I think the other one is when my grandmother died. Like maybe it was one of the few times you didn't know what to do, like sort of like a freeze up in a crisis situation. Like, you can handle fights. You don't know how to handle someone being poisoned.
Right.
And like so it was like one of those things like where it's like I was barking orders at you, and you don't have to follow my orders. We're of equal rank. But I still feel slighted that you stood there. In my definition, you stood there and did nothing.
I like that. That sounds great. Let's say I wasn't like a bodyguard, but maybe I was like a driver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, or like you didn't get us somewhere fast enough.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I went to the wrong hospital.
A
I took too long to
hotshot
get to the
TIE
hospital.
fighter pilot that was assigned to some kind of detail flying some dignitaries, and you host it. That's great. That's really good. And this happened recently, so it was after you guys had escaped Coruscant, right?
Oh, it might have been during the evac or the escape. Like maybe we did not reach the ship in time.
Yeah.
Interesting. I kind of like that. So it was during the chaos of the escape from Coruscant.
Yeah, I think it's also like the first time Marwyn realized this is for real. The Empire is falling. His grandmother is dead. He has limited resources. Everything is coming to an end.
Messed up. That's right. Well, I was hopeful at break that we'd sneak a scene in, but I really don't want to rush anyone, meaning that this will bring session, we'll call this a session 0. So we'll now open it up. Are there any relationships that folks really wanted to attach someone to that we can grab an NPC, or you can also offer to a PC?
I'd like to, I don't have an idea for which NPC necessarily, but that who has their doubts about me, how have I allayed them? I think that's interesting and could work with an NPC. Let me look.
We have that political officer.
Oh, please, Commandant. Yes, you want a relationship with the Commandant?
Yeah.
Okma?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okma has suspicions about Jaina.
I like that it's not someone else in the ISB too, or intelligence.
Right.
That's
right.
Yeah. Okay, so that's.
Oh, that's good. Really good. Great suggestion.
Real quick, can the Viceroy owe me something because I killed them off?
So I guess the question I have is, are we defining that the Viceroy is who killed them off?
But well, I killed them off, but Tetsu asked me to.
Okay, so Tetsu did ask you to. That's okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That's that. I just want to make sure I hadn't caught that part. Yeah, sure. I think that's good that the Viceroy owes you for that.
How does the Commandant? How I'm trying to figure out how I allayed their concerns. I don't have a good idea on
Oh,
that.
right. We need to answer that. Oh, but, like, is Jaina sleeping with the Commandant?
Ooh, okay, sure. Yeah,
All
that
right.
works. Is that what started the relationship? That's even like more manipulative, right? Like it's I start a romantic relationship because I know she suspects me,
That sounds so evil. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Oh, that's good. The Leviathan's the name of our civilian ship. That's great. Let's grab a. Since you did the pick, Greg, do you want to grab a name for our captain?
Yeah, I'll find something.
Awesome. Great. 4 minutes left. This has been a really fun session
I
zero.
still had
Oh,
one question I wanted
yes.
to let me get back to my questions real quick. Yeah, who believes in me? What special role or destiny do they see in me? I want this to either be, I think it's Lieutenant Commander Varco Gray or Commander Obok Vander II.
Oh, yes. God, they're both so good. By the way, I don't know if it's clear, but the son outranks the father in that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Which I think like might be a very like that. Oh God, maybe that's how we like. It could be like how we met, literally, just like the like back in the day, children of impressive people in the. And I think like we bet maybe if I can, like he sees a special destiny in me that like it's kind of a narcissistic thing. I'm like a mirror he preens in, but if you know his friends have to be as special as he will be, kind of thing. And since I've come back 30 times and I still remember everything, obviously there's something special for me, even if it is just a pawn in his destiny or a footnote in his story.
Yes, he's a member of the Rekindlers. He is all about it. That is great. Obok Vander II. And I just decided because he's a Rekindler that his father has to be a member of the Final Legion. Good. Awesome. Any other relationships that folks want to offer up to an NPC?
Is everyone okay if I make the captain of the Leviathan a droid? Okay.
That's so good. We'll have to work on this TIE Hunter experimental fighters thing, like who's the face of that group, because I think it's an interesting concept. It's just kind of out of the normal scope for how you define a ship. So we can work on that, Stephen. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
I was kind of thinking Rev was the face.
That sounds good to me. Is Rev the face?
That could be it. Yeah. That makes it easier. Yeah.
Sweet. Good. All right. Pause. Is there anything more folks wanted to get out there for character creation, world creation? Okay. Thank you all so much for our session zero. This has been a pleasure, and I will stop the recording here. Thank you.